Hey, it's Thursday in Georgia. That means community focus. We make our way around the state of Georgia into my hometown, Athens, Georgia today. Very excited, Faith, to be focused on the classic city.
Yes, yes. I love the city of Athens.
Yeah, you live in Covington, Faith. That's not Mansfield. That's not too far from Athens. How long does it take you to get over there?
It takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. And we travel to Athens sometimes for date nights and things like that.
Yeah, for Wendy and I, we live in Houston, about 22 minutes from Athens. Our doctors are there, our church is there, our social life is there. So we're back and forth. Of course, Wendy and I met at the Baptist Student Union in Athens, 450 South Lumpkin Street. It was my fraternity. And so let me say hey to everyone, and we're going to have a fantastic discussion. Shonda, we're looking forward to hearing your story and the story of your family as we focus on human trafficking, as we always do. So thank you for being on today.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we'll have my buddy Andrew Saunders and Mike Wharton on talking about sustainability. Athens Clarke really is the gold standard for cities, and a big part of it's the leadership from these guys. So we're excited about having you guys talk about some of the cool sustainability stuff that you're doing.
Thank you.
And then my friend Joe May will have Joe talk about his work with international students, with Chinese students in particular. Joe, I'm looking forward to hearing just about how you serve that community. So thanks for being on the call today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we'll leave Blaine Williams, the manager of Athens Clarke County, here on the screen. And Blaine, we've got a lot of cities in Georgia, and not that many consolidated. Tell folks what a consolidated government means and how much more work it is.
Well, Tim, thank you. I appreciate the question. And this is interesting because if you think about the number of units of local government in the nation, it's about 90,000. And that includes all sorts of development districts and things of that nature. But as far as we know, there are under 50, and not 50,000, under 50 consolidated governments in the United States.
Wow.
I think 6 or 7 or 8 of them are here in Georgia, and we are one of them. So it's a very unique structure of government. And it's well suited for Athens Clarke County. We're the smallest geographic county here in Georgia, and it makes it a lot simpler for the residents and the citizens to know where to go and who to talk to. And I've found it to be I've managed in the cities and the counties, and this is by far superior.
Blaine, I heard recently, and this was tragic news for me, and you would have to know my history to know this. I heard that the varsity is going to be closing over there.
Yes, and I'll tell you, this is another important point for you folks that love Athens. So 20 years ago, the mayor and commission at the time sort of set the diet of the things that we're seeing today with the land use planning. They wanted that Portland model, a green belt around the outside, and that's necessarily going to drive redevelopment within the urban core. And that's what's happening here. The varsity, I want you to know they weren't pushed out by the county or city or the unified government. The owners, the family that's owned that business for years has decided to rearrange their assets and do things slightly differently. So it's really just sort of a natural byproduct of the evolution of Athens.
Wow.
Tim, you were the first person I thought of when I saw that news on social media. I thought, oh, Tim's going to be mourning the varsity in Athens.
Sometimes my wife will see the cup in my cup holder. I have an electric car. It's plugged in the garage, Blaine. And so she'll walk through and I'll have left the cup in there. And she walks in and she says this, 1 or 2, meaning 1 chili dog or 2 chili dogs. So, she shames me, with my chili dog fixation. But Andrew Saunders, one of our guests coming up, he's a chili dog guy, and I'm sure he's hurting equally on this. Hey, Blaine, let me ask you, because you guys have done so many innovative things. Let me ask you about this quarry project. It was kind of a under the radar thing, but some of the plans you guys have to put river water in there and then clean it and put it back. I mean, it's really innovative. Tell us about this quarry project.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. And yes, we've had to be very strategic in trying to provide for the next 100 years drought resiliency for Athens, Clarke County. And there's been a lot of political polarization and debate about climate change, but it's happening one way or another. And water is going to be it's everything for all communities. And so I have to give credit to our mayor and commission and our staff. We are a partner in the Bear Creek Reservoir with 4 other counties. But if we were to have to go to level 4 drought restrictions, it could have $250 million impact on our county alone. Not to mention, back in 2008, we were within 30 days of running out of water. And so our staff has been diligent about trying to find an alternative. And this is one of those projects that's just, it's a rare thing in government where it is a win-win, win-win-win. And so we have the mayor and commission recently acquired the quarry that is right next to Ben Epps Airport. It's about 190 acres. It is still being mined as we speak, which actually works to our advantage. They're going to make this hole even bigger. And we've done all the due diligence and necessary studies to be sure that this is something that will be viable. We're targeting 2030. What you were just asking, Commissioner, is some of the innovations that our staff have developed with this. And so we're also at the same time starting a water recycling program. And so we're running what's called Purple Pipe. It's actually going under the new segment of the Firefly Trail that's headed out towards Winterville. If I could show a map right now, you'd see our North Oconee Water Reclamation Facility. It's a straight shot out to the industrial park, which we're going to try and find users out there that can use, it's clean water, and so if they can use it, we can sell it to them cheaper. We can create a feedback loop in the amount of water that we use every day. And guess what? It runs right by this quarry.
That's incredible. We lived in Winterville when we were there in town. I put solar thermal on my house on Oakmont out there. I had done an internship project for Power Partners at the time when they were making solar thermal, and eventually got a system for my house and had a chance to kind of experiment with it personally. Hey, last topic before we move to our other guest. I know biking is huge in Athens. I mean, you got the Twilight that happens, most years every April. You've got, Jittery Joe's very committed to professional biking. And you guys are adding a lot of trails, aren't you?
We are, and I'll tell you, our elected representatives, our commissioners, they reflect what the community values are. And for, over the almost decade I've been here, it's been consistently pedestrian bike safety and access. And so our citizens, our residents have approved SPLOST referenda that helped to support that. We've got really 2 major spines that are under construction, both our greenways, which finds its way along our rivers and, environmentally sensitive areas. And we also have the Firefly Trail, Commissioner, as you know, which would, that old historic rail bed that goes from downtown Athens out to Winterville and on to Union Point. And we're helping to lead the way for that I guess over 50-mile project by getting our sections done, I hope within the next couple of years.
Well, thank you very much for your leadership to the community, and I look forward to continuing to make Athens the place that Wendy and I go to, as opposed to down into Atlanta. So you guys are doing great work, and we want to help you at the commission. We want to help Athens Clarke be successful with their energy goals. And I gave y'all a shout out yesterday on TV, actually, as I was interviewed about these 100% clean goals. And I said, only the city of Athens has reached out. A lot of cities set goals, but Athens is serious about this, and they are reaching out to our commission to see how we can partner together to help them reach their goals. So kudos for that, Blaine. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you're about to talk to 2 of the folks that are really responsible for propelling us forward along with our elected officials. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks, you.
Blaine.
Hey, we've got my buddy Joe May here. Joe, you and your wife Liz, we've been friends a long time, and you work with China Outreach Ministries. I know this is work that Wendy and I personally financially support. We really appreciate the good work that you're doing. So
appreciate you.
tell us a little bit about your work with Chinese students at UGA and how they wind up here.
Well, right now we're all mourning the loss of the varsity along with you, Tim, and as are our Chinese friends who've introduced to the varsity many times. Of course, the Chinese students are coming here for a variety of areas of study, from the hard sciences and more to the soft sciences, to public and government issues. And then we have, of course, the students, undergraduates, graduates, and a lot of visiting scholars who are here doing important research. And they love the Athens area. Many are sorry to leave when they have to go back. Our job, we want to befriend them, reach out to them, show love to them, let them know that they are welcome here, and that we look forward to interacting with them. And many of them, especially the visiting scholars, they want to learn about American culture. They want to improve their language. They want to many times visit a church, study the Bible, go to different events. And so we try to provide things, whether it's a English class ongoing, which I'm still doing with Chinese using Zoom back in China now, people who have left here. And I've got one coming up in just a few minutes. And then, we take people to the Georgia National Fair. Our church does a pig picking and a low country boil every year. And when there are Chinese here, we get a big group. It's, not as many here this year as there have been, but we're looking forward to students coming back this fall.
Joe, I thought it was interesting. Earlier, you told me you don't just expose these students to the Athens area. You said you take them to other states. And I thought that was great.
We have connections with local churches in North Carolina and in the Charleston area, as well as down in Savannah. And we try to do a trip, maybe on a weekend, go in on a Friday, spend 1 or 2 nights. They stay in people's homes, so they love getting that experience of actually being in an American home, making a new connection, making a new friend there. And then, of course, they get to explore, 2 of the most beautiful cities in the country, in Charleston and Savannah. And then we go up to Murphy, North Carolina, and beautiful area up there along the River Walk and the mountains, and the people, the hospitality, potluck dinners. It's just a great time.
Murphy is an artist enclave. I think it's a beautiful place to visit.
Yeah, it is.
Joe, a last question for you today. As these Chinese come here, are they surprised about the level of freedom, First Amendment rights, and is it a culture shock to them, or do they say this to you? And how does what they thought about America, when they were in China, differ from actually get here?
Yeah, I try to ask that, and they do find that it's the people are friendly. It's pretty easy to live, that they love the lifestyle of Athens. Most of them are coming from large, very large Chinese cities, 5 to 10 million or more people. And so they really like the lifestyle, the clean air. That's usually one of the first things is they say, oh, the air is so clean and the sky is blue, and they love the environment. They love the climate of Athens, especially those that come from northern China where it's freezing a lot.
Wow. Well, Joe, how can people find out about?
They can just contact me, Joe May, at uga.edu. I have a UGA account, and ChinaOutreach.org is the national website. But if they wanted to email me, that'd be great. We'd love to have people contact us.
Great. Well, thank you for your good work, and we look forward to continuing to hear great things.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, let's bring in a couple of renewable experts. Folks may know that I have a radio show every Saturday on Athens, in Athens at 8 a.m. on WGAU. It's called Energy Matters. Man, Andrew, it's hard to believe that we are almost done with our third year of broadcasting. I mean, it's just been incredible.
Yeah, no, I can remember when I came in for a couple of the pilot episodes, and who knew it would become what it is. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, well, let's start with you, Andrew, and talk about your role now in the county, and then maybe you can let us know how Mike works, in your department or with you to help continue to move Athens forward.
Yeah, so I'm the Central Services Director for Athens Clarke County. We manage fleet, facilities, and landscapes for the county. So in many respects, we're on the front line of that energy transition. And I came from the sustainability office. And so I actually used to have the privilege, and still have the privilege, but Mike and I used to work hand in hand every day. And so now Mike's leading that office. He's doing a phenomenal job. And he and I talk on a regular basis and are always kind of scheming up what's that next step and that next project in our energy future.
Yeah, Mike, I've seen your handiwork out there, at the wastewater treatment plant, which is, a state-of-the-art facility, not only because you have solar, but you have solar that's on an axis, and those describe to our audience your wastewater treatment plant and how that energy there makes it different.
Well, let me turn that to Andrew, because he's really the author of that and really got that going and did a fantastic job setting it up and has the details. So I will not steal his thunder for a project that was his brainchild.
So I'll briefly say we are fortunate enough. We have a 630 kilowatt ground mounted array, and it actually moves with the sun over the day. And that's in partnership with Georgia Power. We were able to enroll in one of their programs. And so that energy goes into the grid. It's enough to power, what my notes show, about 60 homes or more. And it's a financial win for our ratepayers. So they're actually making money off of that endeavor while helping the environment. I will kind of toss out there, Mike's working on a pretty cool project right now that I've never had an opportunity to do, which is pairing solar plus storage at one of our facilities.
Yeah, tell us about that, Mike.
Well, it's a fascinating opportunity, and we see it as a way to start moving to a total resilience model for a lot of our facilities. We've targeted our family domestic family protection center, which is combined. What it is services. It's unified services that deal with victims of sexual assault and domestic violence, and along with their families. So this is a comprehensive program. It serves 10 county area, with Athens as the center and the location. We're putting up our first ground-mounted system over a parking lot is the plan. And that is going to do a lot of things other than just generate energy, which it will do. It's estimated to generate about 70%, at a minimum, about 70% of what the facility uses. And it will also help mitigate heat island effect and provide shade and reduce fuel use, because you don't get in your car, crank it up, and open the windows and blow it out as you try to do. But the facility itself, what the idea is to provide 36 hours of off-grid power to operate this center. And that's really critical. People are going through an incredibly difficult time of their lives. The victims themselves, the family members, and they get this opportunity to have these services continue. So if the grid's down, it doesn't stop them. It's a 7 days a week, 24 hours. It's also one of the most used facilities in the state. The centers has one of the highest treatment rates. So they are really doing some critical work. It provides, make sure that their forensics locker does not lose its controlled temperatures. And as a result, they keep their evidence fresh, which is a huge problem.
Okay.
Yes. So they're doing things like administrative support, medical exams, counseling, and forensics. So those are key services. And the great thing about this facility is they not only have the SANE program, which is the sexual assault nurse program. It also has DOJ people who are there. They have detectives there. So you come in and you get dealt with very positively, very quickly. and they are there to help and focus on helping people rather than have to worry about what's going on to keep the facility open, especially when the electricity is off the grid.
Yeah, we're doing a pilot not microgrid, but it's the first step toward a microgrid on Jekyll Island and helping their sea turtle facility in particular, but not just the Sea Turtle Center, because when you put those big batteries out there, you're really helping everybody in the general vicinity. So I think with us experimenting with Georgia Power, the stuff you guys are doing, I'm very anxious to see how this goes for y'all, Mike. And because as we tee up our energy planning next summer, I think we want the data to know, does it work? As a conservative, I don't want to waste people's money. I want to make sure that we're doing things that make sense. And so we do like experimenting on a small basis. And then if it works, to be able to scale it up, right? And I think there's a lot of cities that will follow your lead if this works. So keep us posted on that.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for your leadership. Andrew, looking forward to having you back in the studio and having our annual fantasy energy draft tied in with fantasy football. And
I'm coming back for my title.
So we got to have you back. So, guys, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you around town.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, Shonda, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. And it's great having you on the call today. I'm going to let Faith lead our discussion with you here. We do an emphasis on human trafficking every week, and it's always it either makes me mad as I hear about what's going on, or it makes me sad, and sometimes both. So anyway, Faith, introduce our guest.
Shonda, she is the executive director of Divas Who Win Freedom Center in Athens. And Shonda, tell us a little bit about what you guys do at the Freedom Center and who you serve.
Absolutely. So I am Shonda Santana, the founder and director of Divas Who Win Freedom Center. We have a headquarters, which is our day peer center, so to speak. So we serve women who are overcoming addiction, prostitution, and sex trafficking survivors. And so we think that the secret to our sauce is that our staff, it's peer-based services. So everyone who works there in direct services for Divas has some lived experience in one, two, or all three parts of the mission. So we offer art. We have an art therapy room. We have a massage room. We have a boutique that has free clothing for the women, multiple support groups, workforce development, training programs. So we just have a myriad of ways for women to just connect with us on their journey as we try to empower them to take the next step towards healing.
That's fantastic. Especially that job development work is just huge for these women who are trying to come out of this life that's so oppressive and build a new life. And I just think that's such valuable work. Tell me a little bit about why you got into this field. You have some lived experience yourself, don't you?
I do. So my personal recovery journey, 24 years ago, I came out of the sex trade. And I tried to stress to community members, there's a difference between sex trade and trafficking. Yes. So it really was my childhood trauma that prepared me to enter the line of work that I entered, but it was always free will, free choice. And then 14 years, 9 months ago, I went away to an intense treatment program to break the bondage of substance use disorder off of my life through a faith-based program. So then I had that recovery piece. And then 4 years ago, actually in July, my 17-year-old daughter was rescued by the FBI from a family of sex traffickers. So I personally have lived experience in all three parts of the mission. And one of the reasons that I was so motivated to create a space to share stories because there was a lot of suffering in secret, you know, and I met so many women along the way with shared experiences. I wanted us to have a space to share and wanted to give back to my community, because if it weren't for my recovery journey, I think my daughter's story would have turned out very differently.
Right. So, yes, Commissioner.
How can folks find out about your work, Shonda?
They can visit www.divaswhowin.org. So our website is pretty robust and has the different ways to engage with us at the Hawthorne headquarters, as well as our Sex Trafficking Education Center over here in the Chase Street warehouse.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shonda.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone for being on our call today, for the good work that Andrew and Mike are doing with renewable energy, and the great leadership from Blaine there in the city, and our friend Joe May working with international students. There's just so many people working to make our cities and our communities a better place. So I will now transition over to the Public Service Commission, where we'll do energy planning in, 3 minutes. We're all living the Zoom life or the stream life. Faith, where are we going next week with Community Focus?
Next week, we will be up in Hartwell, Georgia. And then the week after that, we'll go all the way down to Fitzgerald, there in middle Georgia. And then we'll be back in Sugar Hill, so closer back to the metro in the next few weeks.
Great. Well, you all, thanks for being on with us today. And anybody can catch our back episodes at my YouTube channel. And of course, this will sit on Twitter and on Facebook. And folks can watch the rerun of it as they always do. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks so much, y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.